What's going on, guys? I'm Nick Talan, and this is my brother.
Nathan Talan.
And today we're going to be reviewing Logan, directed by James Mangold. Nate's going to give you a little synopsis of the movie itself.
So Logan is centered around Wolverine from the X-Men universe. It's kind of focused on his story in the year 2029, I believe it was, and it's kind of like most of the X-Men are gone, most of the mutants are gone, and it's kind of just him living life, going through the struggles of dealing with degrading powers and stuff like that. What I think Logan does well when it comes to kind of the superhero movies is it kind of focuses more on the character and the dynamics between other characters than just an all-out world-ending catastrophic event. You can kind of tell that because it's called Logan and not Wolverine : something, because it's focusing on him as the person, not him the superhero. And I think more superhero movies kind of need to take that approach because Logan knocked it out of the park, and I think it was one of the best superhero movies ever made.
I would have to agree. I think it's, for me, out of all the superhero movies I've seen, I think it's number 2, right behind The Dark Knight, but we'll talk about that later. I think it did mostly everything well. I really loved how they rolled the dice with the rated R movie. Mm-hmm. I think it paid off for them just because this is a violent superhero, and for them to see that, like for us to see the aspects of the violence and actually all the struggles he's going through as a person, not even just a superhero, was very powerful. And I loved the movie. And
the action definitely was as good as I think it could be for a Wolverine movie. It kind of gets repetitive a little bit because it is just him hacking people's limbs off and stuff, but that didn't lessen the impact of it at all when it came down to watching him just destroy people.
Also in this movie, there's a pretty cool dynamic between Logan and this unknown character that you don't really know anything about going in. It's a little girl who appears to have some things in common with Logan himself, and I thought that was really cool. She was pretty awesome when it comes to superpowers and everything like that.
Also, the relationship between Professor Xavier and Logan are excellent. I mean, it's kind of like a father-son dynamic, and yeah, there's definitely more layers added to it in this movie. And I mean, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart give excellent performances for like their last run at the characters. So
yeah, it was hilarious at some points. Definitely, they throw in some comedic relief when needed, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it just because I wasn't too fond of X-Men going in, so seeing that kind of dynamic definitely helped me connect to the characters a little bit more. Do you want to get into the negatives that you kind of picked out during the process of watching it?
Yeah, let's go. I think we kind of have similar ones, so you go ahead and start this one off.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a couple things. Some of them were personal preference, some of them I kind of noticed right away. And one of them was I thought it was just a tad too long. I'd say like 15 to 20 minutes too long, where they could have just cut it down and it would have made for a better movie. Another thing I didn't really like was how they introduced a certain set of characters. Don't want to get too far in detail with it just so I don't spoil anything for anyone watching that hasn't seen it yet. But would you agree with that?
Yeah, I just feel like overall in this movie there's a lot of forced exposition and kind of like heavy-handedness to some of the like content. Because it's weird, because there's like a weird balance that they try to strike where for some things it's very vague and very like needs you to pick it apart and figure it out, but then other stuff they just keep beating you over the head with it, like, hey, this might happen, or oh, this character and stuff like that. It's just like something that I don't really like in a movie where they kind of beat you over the head with certain aspects of the movie going into it. And I feel like since it's rated R, they really didn't need to do that too much because they could kind of treat us like adults. But I mean, it is kind of a weird thing when you're dealing with mutants and superpowers, so you kind of do need to explain some things. Yeah. Some of the running time is dedicated to this kind of forced exposition and like heavy-handedness when it comes to backstories for characters and certain events and stuff like that. So
I went to go see this movie with 2 of my friends, and the first thing we kind of talked about after we saw the movie was how can we compare this to The Dark Knight superhero movie-wise? And me and my buddy Tyler Bourne were talking about it a little bit. And the first thing we brought up was the villain. And in The Dark Knight, we probably saw one of the best performances ever for a villain in a superhero movie. And I think that is the main thing that may push that over the top as one of the best superhero movies ever, even though it's kind of like a realism superhero movie.
I don't know, I feel like Logan has, I'm kind of with like the idea that you can compare them because they're superhero movies, but they're kind of different in a way that Logan really doesn't have to deal with kind of the villain because he's kind of the villain in his own story,
Yeah.
I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely plays into it. I just feel like this is the best superhero movie probably because The Dark Knight I really don't see as a superhero movie. I see it more as like a crime drama. But Logan, like, because it still plays with like comic tropes kind of, and it kind of embraces its comic book nature in it. And
Yeah.
The Dark Knight kind of shied away from that, but
It was real. It was realistic.
yeah, but I mean, both excellent movies. Logan is getting a lot of comparisons to The Dark Knight, and I see why. But I heard that they're just going to continue from the Apocalypse storyline. So, whatever, Fox, just do whatever you want.
So what are you gonna give Logan? A scale of 1 to 100, kind of like a percentage thing, like I said in our Get Out review.
I'd give it a solid 90%.
And I am gonna give it a 94% out of 100. So that was our review on Logan. We'll have a review up next week for you guys. Thank you for watching.
Adios.